adding inventory, this is a step you want to take your time and make sure it is absolutely done correctly and to the fullest potential. So if you take some time in this step and do all of the details of it, you will be saving yourself so much time and energy later and so many potential mistakes later because you've taken the time to set it up correctly. That's what we're going to dive into in this next video.
There are 3 different ways that you can add inventory into the Everywhere Bridal program. But before you bring products into the program, you have to be ready for it. So you will click Inventory and Inventory Setup. First, you will want to make sure that all the categories of items that you offer are set up correctly. Click Categories. The system has pre-built categories, and you can edit these categories to suit your needs or create new ones. Whether you are editing a category or if you've clicked Create to make a new category, this screen looks the same. You will want to make sure to checkmark whether you want this category tracked for commission reporting purposes, whether you want it tracked within events, and you can always choose to hide a category if you no longer want to see it as an option, but do not want to delete it from the system. You will choose the tax rate of the category and click Save. Subcategories allow you to further sort if you feel that is necessary for reporting purposes. As an example, under bridal, I could choose to add a subcategory based on shape: ball gown, A-line, sheath, fit and flare, etc. If I was in accessories, I could choose to add bracelet, earrings, necklace, veil, etc. Your categories are now set up, and it's time to make sure your vendors are also ready to go. Go back to Inventory and Inventory Setup. Click the vendor box. You will notice that the program already has many vendors in the industry pre-built into the program. The first step would be to search for a particular vendor to see if their information is already in the system. In this example, Maggie Sotero has given the Everywhere Bridal program their breakdown of the collection not only by label, but also by the actual season. Not all vendors do this. Some vendors simply break it down by the collections or labels that they offer. You could go into that vendor by clicking the Edit button and updating any and all information for this vendor. To add a vendor that is either not already in the system or simply because you wanted to track the collection differently, you would click the Create button. Fill in as much information as possible. Once you have clicked Save on a vendor, the vendor category retail factor is added to the screen. This is an optional field that, if filled out, can save you time as you add individual inventory items later. If there is a standard markup you would like on all items from this vendor, you simply choose the division and the % markup for all items from this vendor in that division. You can click the Add button to add a standard markup for other divisions of the same designer and click Save when complete. You do have the ability to change the price markup on individual items later. The last step to make sure your vendor is set up correctly is to click on the words Extra Fee. This is where you put any possible extra fee options that could be added to the customer ticket upon checkout. The first thing that comes to mind that could be used in this section is for designers that charge extra for plus-size dresses. You could match the extra fees to particular dresses or items. If you leave this blank, it will be available for all of the items for that designer. Same thing for the category. You can choose that, say, the size upcharge is only on this designer's bridal gowns. Then it is the cost your store. This amount and the price is what you choose to charge the customer. Even if you choose to charge the customer nothing, I recommend you fill in this whole grid and add 0 in the price category so it makes sure that your reporting of cost of goods is correct later. In the size field, you can enter into the system which sizes this charge applies to. The auto size dropdown helps the system know if you want this automatically added to a ticket if all these other fields match, or if you simply want it to be there as an option to be able to choose to add to a customer ticket. You can continue adding more extra fees for as many options as possible. Think about custom changes that designers offer, or extra length on particular dresses but not on others. Always hit the Save button to make sure all your work stays in the system. Remember, you simply click the Create button to add a brand new vendor and fill in all the same information that was just covered. Before we add inventory, one last thing to make you aware of as we click Inventory and Inventory Setup is Cost Factor. This section is something you will discuss with your accountant if you work with a depreciation schedule in your store in terms of your inventory. That completes vendor setup, and it is time to add inventory. Click Inventory and Retail Inventory. You can add inventory items individually by selecting Retail Inventory or bulk add using the Fast Add and Inventory Import button. Click Retail Inventory. The fastest way to add inventory individually is to search for the vendor style number and see if the BBL Picture Perfect service already has this item in the system. If so, you will simply select it and add it to the inventory of your store. If the item is in the system through the BBL Picture Perfect service, it should have the image and other important information like colors available, size charts, and descriptions. If you would like to manually enter an item, you will simply click New Style. The Store Style box allows you to private label the item for your store. Enter the vendor style of that item, choose the vendor, and assign it to the appropriate category. Add a description if you would like. Checkmark service if this product is a service. For example, Bustle is an alteration service. And checkmark the inactive box when you can no longer order this dress. In sizes available, type in the available sizes separated by a comma. The size chart URL is an optional feature if you would like to add it. The color label boxes are the names of the part of the item that are assigned to that color. For instance, on a bridal gown, you might have a gown with a lace color, a lining color, and a tulle color. You would assign the color label names as lace, lining, tulle. You would then add the available colors separated by commas in these boxes. The color chart URL is also an optional feature. When the item has a discontinuation notice come through, immediately come and enter that information here so the program can alert you if there are any pending special orders that will be affected by this discontinuation. The reorder cost is what it costs you to purchase that item. The retail factor will be automatically filled in if you had pre-filled it in the vendor setup. If you did not, you can add your markup % here. If you do that, the system will automatically fill in the price of the item. You could also choose to leave the retail factor blank and price the item yourself. If you would like to offer special commissions on certain items for staff, you can choose to enter that information here. If you are tracking your inventory by season and year to ensure that you are keeping your stock fresh, you would enter that information here. Now you will enter all the information of the particular sample you have in the store. Enter the size, what color your item is, and what it costs you to purchase the stock piece for your store, and increase the quantity on hand field to how many of this item are in your store. If you have multiple of a sample, simply click the Add button to add as many of the sample as you have. If the images are available online as URLs, or if you have saved them online as URLs, you can enter those here and then click Save. If you did not have image URLs, you can now scroll back down to allow you to upload images of the item. Once you have clicked Save, you also now have the ability to print a label if you have a label printer set up. If you cannot individually add items, you can bulk add by clicking Inventory and Retail Inventory. You will now click Fast Add and Inventory Import. Click Download Template. Open the .csv file, which will open in Excel. You will need to have a new .csv file for each vendor and category. Enter as much information on all styles from a particular vendor as possible. Save the file and head back to the Everywhere Bridal program. Choose the vendor, choose the category, and click Choose File. Then click the Upload button, and all those items are now in your system. To utilize the Fast Add feature, choose your vendor and choose your category, and click Fast Add. The system will pull up what looks almost exactly like the spreadsheet that you had downloaded. Enter as much information as possible. Click the Add Plus button to add a line and continue adding more items. Once completed, click the Save button. The system is smart enough to know if you are entering multiple items with the same store name, it will not allow you to enter it. A simple store name change may need to happen if you have multiple designers with the same item number that will help resolve any possible confusion or mistakes in the ordering process. Once the import or fast add has been completed, you can go back to inventory and retail inventory to add individual pictures to items that you did not have an image URL for.
Remember that extra fees section? I can't tell you how important that section is to go in and really fill it out and utilize it. This can gain you sales. It can gain your staff the ability to just know what custom changes or things could be possible with each dress and how much they cost. So spend some time in that extra fees section. Also the color labels are hugely important. So that way your staff immediately know and can tell your customers exactly what something is available in. If you're feeling a little overwhelmed at this point, because let's be honest, this is probably the biggest step, contact the Everywhere Bridal team and we can help you get this set up in your store.